Hello, mathematicians. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure when you're listening right now, but we are going to continue on with math. Our learning target is going to be the same as before. We're going to be estimating addition with decimals. And so we're going to keep working on that. Last time with Miss Condon, I think you got to line up decimals in their order that they're supposed to be, greatest to least or least to greatest. And so we're going to start off by doing that right now. I'm going to share my screen. And here we have these 5 different numbers, and we're trying to find the 3 greatest ones. So we're going to look at our place value again. We know that the first one is always the tenth, and the second number is going to be the hundredths, and the third number is going to be the thousandths. So we're going to go ahead and look at our first number in the tenths to find out which one's the largest or the smallest, and we'll place an order. In this case, we'll do smallest to largest. So I'm going to look at all my cards: 625 thousandths, 8 tenths, 25 thousandths, 75 hundredths, and 3 tenths. And so looking at the tenths place in all of these, I see this one's a 6, this one's an 8 in here, this one's a 0, this one's a 7, and this one's a 3. So 0 is going to be the smallest number in there. So the 25 thousandths is going to go first, and we're going to go to the next one to see which has the smallest number in the tenths place. Again, this is a 6, this is an 8, this is a 7 in the tenths place, and this is a 3. So 3 is the next smallest number. And now to find, these are going to be our 3 highest cards, and we'll just go ahead and place these in order. And again, we're looking at the tenths place, 6, 8, 7. So we know that the 6 is going to go next, followed by the 7th, and lastly, 8 tenths. So these 3 numbers are going to be the ones that we're going to be working with. And now I want you to think about if we were to add these 3 cards right here, the 625 thousandths, 75 hundredths, and 8 tenths. I want you to estimate on what you think it might be. Do you think it's about 1, 1.5, maybe close to 2? So go ahead and take a second to think about that. And we are going to go ahead and figure that out right now. All right, so right now, right here, we have these 6 different hundredths grids. And if we were to fill out any one of these grids, that would be 1 hole. And so as you can see, if we're adding, there's a chance that we could get a total of 6 whole. And we're going to add these up and see what we get. We're going to use different colors again, just like last time. So the first one is 8 tenths. So 8 tenths, we can multiply the top and the bottom by 10 and get, at all, and get 80 over 100. So we're going to go ahead and fill in 80 of these. 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going to move to the 75 hundredths and switch the color for that, green. And so in this case, we're going to fill out 75 bars out of 100. We're going to continue where we left off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we got to do our half, which we know is going to be 5 squares. And the last one is 625 thousandths. So to do that, we got to imagine that there's 1,000 in each one of these squares. So if we were to zoom in on one of these squares, we would see that each square would have 10 little lines in it. So if I were to put a little magnifying glass and look at just one of these little squares, it's supposed to be a magnifying glass, it's not coming out too great. But if we were to zoom in just one of these squares, each one of those has 10 little lines. So, and we're going to do 625 for 1,000. And if we were to count each one of these, one row by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So each column would be 100. So we're going to fill out 625 of those. So we're going to start with half, which would be the 50, and that would be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 625. So now we need, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need one more half to make our 6, because each bar is worth 100. So we have our 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, and then our 2 halves, which makes 600. And now we're going to do our 25. So if each box is 10, we're going to get to our 20 right here. We're going to need to fill in 2 more. And that's our 20. Now we got to pick our 5. So if each one of them is 10 and we need to fill in 5, we could fill in 5 going sideways, but it's easier to do if we just cut them in half like this. So we're going to go ahead and cut this box in half and then go ahead and we'd fill it out if we could to make it look nice. But that way we have all our decimals in there. And I mentioned before, if we fill out one whole box, that's going to be a whole. And since we have 2 boxes, we have 2 wholes, the 1 plus the 1. And then this one's not completely filled out right here. So we're going to do that next. So that's where we get our decimal, the and since this was the thousandths, this box, we know that each column here is worth 100. So that's 100 right there. And then we fill out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a 5. So we have our 100, our 7, and a 5. So you were supposed to be thinking about if this was going to be 1, or estimating if it's going to be about 1, 1.5, or 2. The correct answer would have been 2 because it just went slightly over at 2.1. So this is how we can use these colorful, pretty little boxes to add decimals. And I was just curious, normally when we add whole numbers, we just stack them, 57 plus 36, for an example. We stack them and we add them. Is there a way that we can do that with decimals? I want you guys to think about that. And with that, I'm going to end the lesson. All right, so we'll see you guys next time.